The Simpsons Hit and Run is possibly the best Simpsons game ever released, and was probably the game your parents bought you as a child if they deemed you too young for the horrors of GTA 3. Here's a prototype of the game that I have, which dates to July 2003, 2 months before the game's release. After research done by the Donut Team community, I can now bring you this video which shows you how this build of the game differs to the final release. This is Prototype Analysis Episode 1. We start at the very beginning of the game. 3 things to look out for during the startup sequence. The 20th Century Fox music is different, the Gracie Films video is taken directly from the TV series, and the Radical Entertainment video uses the old sound effects first heard in the intro to The Simpsons Road Rage.
Ho! Radical! Ho! Radical!
Moving on to the first cutscene in the game. Here on this prototype, the older character models were still in use here, and the cutscene has some extended scenes.
Hey! I'm endorsing a new cola, kids! And this one isn't poisonous to anybody!
That we know of.
New and improved Buzz Cola is made from only the finest sugars and waters. Plus, it has a special ingredient, too hot for the FDA. It'll give you the get up and go you need to do all the pathetic stuff you have to do. Try new improved Buzz Cola.
Cola. Must get Buzz Cola.
There are some differences in the item placements on Level 1's missions. On SMRT, Lisa's science project is placed in front of the family sedan, meaning you can simply drive into it to pick it up. This makes the mission slightly quicker to complete. On Petty Theft Homer, Barney's cooler pickup is placed further away from him in the prototype. It's unknown why this small change was made prior to the game's release. On the cutscene in Flowers by Irene, the audio is very unfinished. Some bits are louder than others, for example, including the line, "Marge, that black van is spying on us,"
leaving the famous bearded cartoon creator incarcerated in a Peruvian jail. In other news, local citizens are outraged over the discovery of surveillance cameras throughout the town. We go now to City Hall, where Mayor Quimby is fielding questions from an angry mob.
These miniature cameras are an outrage. Spying on our women's dressing rooms, bathrooms, and locker rooms is unforgivable. I think I speak for all Springfielders when I say, where is the sexy footage?
In other unexplained news, strange black vans have been appearing all over town.
Marge, that black van is spying on us.
Oh, homie, you're so sexy when you're paranoid.
On The Fat and the Furious, Homer's initial line of dialogue is an error and was removed in the final game.
That wasn't part of the deal. There he is!
Fine, I admit it, I had Amelia Earhart's plane shot down. That hussy was getting too big for her jodhpurs.
No! You... See, Montgomery Burns, I know you're guilty. Accused! Sir?
Fine, I admit it, I had Amelia Earhart's plane shot down.
In the Stonecutters tunnel, the Stonecutters theme music plays. This was removed in the final game. In the phone booth where you can select a car, handling is instead referred to as stability. This is also seen in pre-release screenshots of the game. When the player completes the game 100%, you can put in a cheat to access pretty much every car in the game. Once the cheat is activated, these cars can be accessed in the phone booth by pressing R1 on the controller. In the prototype, there are a load of extra spaces in the car list referred to as NA followed by a number. Pressing X on these extra spaces does not spawn a car like usual, however. Instead, you simply remain in the phone booth user interface. It's no wonder these were removed, as no cars occupy these spaces. There is one car present in this list, however, that does not feature on the same list in the final game. It's the charred husk, which is the name given to the shell of a car once the player destroys it. Usually, destroying a car is the only way a player can see or drive it, as only on this prototype can you select it from the phone booth. It was likely removed as it doesn't really offer a good driving experience at all, even if you collect a spanner icon, which usually restores your car to its original perfect state. Inside the nuclear power plant, there is an echo effect that isn't present on the final game. You can hear it best when cycling through the cars in the phone booth. On the mission Better Than Beef on level 2, the audio track is mastered differently. Let's take a listen. Also during the same mission, the satellite dish icon is placed further away from the player. This is similar to the items in a couple of missions on level 1, as seen earlier in the video. Again, it's unknown why the satellite dish was moved closer to the player, maybe because there was no point in wasting the player's time by having to go a little further to collect the item and finish the mission.
How about a hard one next time? Alright, that was...
Moving on to level 6, the mission going to the loo originally had a school kid icon, which was later changed to a school bus. Only the icon itself was changed, as the background still remains a light purple colour. Usually, vehicle icons have a yellow background colour. Set to Kill is missing its timer for the last part of the mission. On the final game, the 50-second timer to get back to Krusty Lou Studios is what makes the mission one of the hardest. Without it, the mission is relatively easy. By adding such a short timer, maybe the developers overdid it a little bit. The first mission on level 7 is Rigger Motors, and on this prototype there is an extra final objective that was removed from the final game. This objective has one simple goal: to enter the Simpsons house. This was most likely cut because it doesn't add any level of challenge to the mission, and is just redundant really. Still, it's interesting to see that it was once implemented in the game. Across all the levels, the AI of the Wasp cameras was better in the prototype. On the final build, the Wasps are easier to kill but still increase in difficulty from level 1 through 7. Also, as seen here, the placing of some of the Wasp cameras were slightly different. Moving on to Alien Autopsy Part 1, there was a different camera angle added in the final game for when the car gets pulled up by the tractor beam. This camera angle also exists outside the mission. The angle changes even when the player walks or drives into it.
And the ashtray was full of pennies. I need another car fast.
On Alien Autopsy Part 2, when the car is pulled up towards the spaceship, Snake jumps out of the car like the player does. On the prototype, he falls through the floor, which you'll see if you look at the top left of the screen marked Beta. On the final build, he lands safely beside the player. On Alien Autopsy Part 3, there are the same issues with the camera and the NPC. In this case, it's Grandpa Simpson. Also, with this being the last mission in the game, the final cutscene plays after beating the mission. On the prototype, there are missing sound effects and music, while the newspaper also has a different look. Let's check it out.
Eat nuclear death, you effeminate wriggling spacewads! Imagine that, scared of some harmless nuclear waste. So very harmless. Oh, cut your fingernails!
That fortune teller was right. I do end up dying in a spaceship crash.
Okay, just a few extra things to wrap up now. Firstly, you can actually kick NPCs indoors on the prototype, while this feature was removed in the final game. You can still kick NPCs when you're outdoors, however. Upon completing a bonus race, your character will not perform a victory dance. On the prototype, this feature just probably wasn't implemented yet. And when you finish a race, nothing happens, and you can simply go about your business and kick Patty and Selma. There are also some differences in the text. On the final build, there was more detail added in certain places. For example, the teen was subsequently referred to as the squeaky-voiced teen. The bonus Itchy and Scratchy cartoon, 500 Yard Gash, was changed quite a lot. See if you can spot all the differences here. And with that, we've come to the end of episode 1 of these prototype analyses. Thanks to the Donut Team community, the cutting room floor, and in particular Super Moon Nite for researching all the features of the prototype build, which has allowed me to make this video. Thanks for watching.